I want to compare the 1992 Dream Team versus the 2024 Team USA basketball team regarding the Olympics. Now, there was a point in my life where I thought for a second the 2024 Team USA roster is the most talented basketball team of all time. And honestly, I still probably would give them that claim, you know? But here's the thing. I think that the 1992 Dream Team would beat this current 2024 Team USA squad if they matched up together. So you have to ask the question, who's better? Is it the team that's more talented, or is it the team that if they're matched up versus each other, the one that comes out on top probably might be the team that you go with? You know, you go either way. I'm going the way of the Dream Team because the Dream Team, they blew teams out. It wasn't even close when they were playing. Now, you can look at the competition and say, you know, Team USA right now in 2024 is playing much better basketball teams compared to what the Dream Team faced, but it just seemed like the Dream Team was ahead of their time. And if you're playing not the best competition, the best way to prove how dominant you are is to crush that competition. And that's exactly what the Dream Team did. And when it comes to the Dream Team, they had the ultimate cheat code, in my opinion. And that ultimate cheat code and equalizer and difference maker was Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the greatest athlete of all time. I have a lot of respect for LeBron James. I have a lot of respect for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There's no basketball player that's ever played the game of basketball at a higher level compared to Michael Jordan. And even compared to a guy like LeBron, let's do a little bit of a LeBron versus Michael comparison just really quickly. Michael Jordan, despite LeBron's continued longevity success, Michael still has more regular season MVPs to his name, more NBA Finals MVPs, more all-defensive team selections, has won a Defensive Player of the Year award. LeBron has not done that. And at his peak, Michael Jordan won more in the playoffs. He three-peated twice in the playoffs. LeBron has never even three-peated once in the playoffs, you know? And the only real true all-star teammate Michael Jordan ever needed to win those championships for the Chicago Bulls was Scottie Pippen. Go look it up. Scottie Pippen was the only teammate that made an all-star team legitimately when Michael Jordan was at the peak of his powers. He was the only superstar, all-star level player Michael had it by his side. And I think Scottie Pippen is excellent. But is Scottie Pippen a top 20 player of all time? I don't think he is. I think that Scottie Pippen is a tier below that. Whereas you have LeBron James, you know, play with a guy like Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade is in that top 20 to 25 range. I think he's a little bit ahead of Scottie Pippen, you know? But I'm not going to make it about Michael versus LeBron because it's not a comparison of the two players. But since these are the quote-unquote two leaders of the team, you know, it looks like LeBron is looked at as the leader of Team USA, despite Kevin Durant's, you know, unbelievable skill set and greatness. I think it's pretty obvious Michael Jordan was the leader of the 1992 Dream Team. You know, I don't think anyone would necessarily deny that. It just seems like the focus and attention to detail for the Dream Team is better compared to the 2024 Team USA Olympic roster. You know, when Michael Jordan took the floor, you just knew they weren't going to lose. It just seems like there was an invincibility aura towards a guy like Michael Jordan. A lot better compared to a guy like LeBron James. Because, look, we can give LeBron credit for piecing this puzzle that is Team USA right now together when it looks like they're probably not as good as we thought they were. LeBron has saved Team USA basketball to a degree a little bit of recent, even though the competition is going to ramp up here. We'll see how Team USA responds. And they're going to add Kevin Durant, so they should be better. But why does this roster look beatable? A lot of people, including myself, when you look at this team on paper, you say, oh, this is the most talented basketball team I've ever seen. Why are they struggling to beat South Sudan? Why are they struggling to get past Germany? If that was Michael Jeffrey Jordan at the peak of his powers, he would not allow that to happen. It just wouldn't happen if Jordan was there. Now, that's my ultimate argument right there. It just seems like, for whatever reason, the Dream Team gelled together better as a team. Whereas a lot of Team USA in 2024 it's a lot of great talented guys that are solo acts. Now, I got to give them credit because they're winning right now, and they'll probably go on to win the gold medal. So I can't move the goalpost and say, oh, these guys aren't all that great when they go on to win the gold medal. So, if that happens, great. That's what they're supposed to do. But guys like Tatum, Booker, Joel Embiid, these guys, they're kind of solo acts. They're not meant to be guys that are the 7th, 8th, or 9th best player on Olympic squad. That's just not the role they're used to having, and it's an adjustment period for them. Now, I talked about the little nooks and crannies. Let's just look at the rosters. So you have the Dream Team. I think the 5 best players on the Dream Team are in order. Number 1, Michael Jordan. Number 2, Magic Johnson. Number 3, Larry Bird. Number 4, Karl Malone. And the 5 spot, I debate between David Robinson and Charles Barkley. You can pick whoever you want. Those are the 5th and 6th best players on that Dream Team squad, in my opinion. 100% no doubt about it. Then you have to look at guys like John Stockton, Clyde Drexler, Patrick Ewing, Scottie Pippen. That's the next tier of players, I would say. And then you have guys like Chris Mullin and Christian Laettner to kind of round out the roster. Guys that are talented, but not at that all-time great stratosphere level in terms of superstars, But they're really, really good players, and they round out the roster. So that's about as talented of a basketball team as you're going to get. Michael, greatest basketball player of all time. Magic Johnson, undisputed top 10 basketball player of all time. Larry Bird, undisputed top 10 basketball player of all time. That could change in the next 25 to 30 years, but right now, they are firmly in my top 10 all time. You look at a guy like Karl Malone. I think Karl Malone, you can argue, he's the best NBA player to ever win a championship. I mean, he's the 3rd all-time leading scorer. He's won multiple league MVPs, just never was able to capture a championship. And then obviously you have to look at guys like David Robinson and Charles Barkley, 2 big men that were really, really good in their prime. Barkley never won a championship, came close. David Robinson did win a championship in San Antonio, was underrated defensively as well. And then you have the rest of the roster, So that's how I look at things. And by the way, it's a really talented roster because Clyde Drexler at one point led a team to an NBA Finals, was second in MVP voting to Michael Jordan. You look at Scottie Pippen. What if Scottie Pippen didn't have to play alongside Michael Jordan? I think Michael Jordan has a huge influence on Scottie Pippen's career. Scottie Pippen would not be the player he is today if he did not kind of, see Michael Jordan close up and, compete against him in practice every day. Because Scottie's guarding Michael probably in practice a lot. And that, look, if you're facing the greatest basketball player of all time and practice consistently, then the game, it just seems like Scottie, you can throw, I don't know, who would you say? You could throw LeBron at him. You could throw Kevin Durant at him. Those guys will get theirs for sure. But Scottie should feel like I'm battle tested and I'm ready. And Scottie was underrated offensively, very underrated as a passer. Even a guy like Patrick Ewing on the team, made some playoff runs, but never quite got over the Chicago Bulls. What happens if Michael Jordan isn't playing in Patrick Ewing's era? Does Patrick Ewing have a championship? Maybe he does. We'll never know. Now, compared to the current Team USA roster, I think that this roster, from top to bottom, is just a little bit better than the 1992 Dream Team. You have LeBron James at the top, then Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry. I think those are the 3 best players by far on Team USA. LeBron, Mount Rushmore level player. Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant. I go back and forth with these guys. I think Durant has had the more impressive individual body of work. Stephen Curry has won a little bit more in terms of team success. I think I'll go Durant over Curry, just because I think Durant is the more talented individual player. I think his longevity speaks for itself because Kevin Durant was a 30-point per game scorer by year number 3 in the NBA. And even heading into year, number 17, Kevin Durant is still an elite scorer of the basketball. I think he's incredible. But this is not a Steph versus KD debate. I'm just talking about, my opinion on the players, Now, you have to factor in that Kawhi Leonard was potentially going to play for this team. So if you want to include Kawhi Leonard, he would be up next. But if you don't want to include Kawhi Leonard, I understand that. But let's just say Kawhi Leonard was on this team. theoretically, you roll out Durant, LeBron, Curry, Kawhi, and then Joel Embiid potentially is your fifth best guy. That's some serious firepower. I think that'd be a better, just 5-player team compared to the Dream Team even. Just in terms of talent. Maybe they don't beat the Dream Team because there's the Michael Jordan effect, but that's a really talented group of players right there. Then obviously guys like Anthony Edwards, who has just risen up some of these all-time rankings of recent. I mean, he is a sensational talent. I've compared him to Michael Jordan in terms of dunking ability. In terms of the way they play basketball, it's a little bit different. Gets a little bit rocky there because I don't think Anthony Edwards is that similar at all to Michael Jordan in terms of his actual basketball game, other than his leaping ability and dunking ability. But Anthony Edwards, he is ultra, ultra talented. And Jason Tatum just recently won a championship for the Boston Celtics. There were times where Tatum was carried by the talent of his roster, but Tatum, he's been knocking on the door and he delivered in certain situations when it mattered, and ultimately he's a champion. We can't really take that away from him. Devin Booker, I think Devin Booker is wildly, wildly underrated and disrespected often. One of the most underrated scorers the game of basketball has ever seen. At one point was the best performer on a team that nearly won a championship. It just so happened to be Giannis Antetokounmpo, who took over in that finals, and Devin Booker had to take a second-place trophy with Chris Paul. You look at Anthony Davis, one of the best two-way players in the game of basketball, one of the most underrated peaks of all time in terms of what he did in the playoffs back in 2020 with the Lakers alongside LeBron James. He was dominant in that playoff run. A lot of people have disrespected Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton is the definition of a true point guard. Now, he may not be the scoring threat of a guy like Russell Westbrook or Damian Lillard or even Stephen Curry from the past, but he can score the basketball when needed. I think Tyrese Halliburton is wildly, wildly underrated. He deserves to be here. He's one of the best point guards in the NBA right now. I think his career, when it's all said and done, we're going to look back on Tyrese Halliburton and say he belonged on this team, no doubt about it. And obviously you have Drew Holiday, Bam Adebayo, Derek White to round out the roster. Drew Holiday, I think, has a somewhat chance to make the Hall of Fame one day if he can stay on the Celtics squad and continue to contribute to winning. Bam Adebayo, one of the best players in the NBA that probably no one talks about. I don't think he'll make the Hall of Fame, but he's really, really good. And Derek White was just a part of a championship team. He's probably not going to make it the Hall of Fame, but really, really good, talented player. Would love to have him on my team if I need defense and solid point guard play. So there you have it. That's the rosters right there. So again, I go back and forth with this. I think that the 1992 Dream Team was just more dominant and better than the 2024 Team USA Olympic roster. I think that there's more star power and more firepower in just in terms of talent on the 2024 Team USA roster. However, they are beatable. The Dream Team at no point did it seem like any team could mess with them because they had a prime Michael Jordan and you didn't. Now, in terms of just these players, where they're at the stages of their career when they got on the Olympic squad, LeBron, Durant, and Curry are a little bit older. They're past their prime. But even guys like Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird, they were kind of old and past their prime, when they got on the Olympic squad in 1992. So I think it's a very, very even matchup. If these two teams were to face each other, I would slightly lean towards the Dream Team just because I think they gelled together a little bit better as a team. I think that their size would give Team USA in 2024 just a little bit of problems, although, the current 2024 Team USA roster has some size with Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid, but, maybe that's a bad take because, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, David Robinson, these are good guys down low, but it's like, I don't know. That's probably a more even matchup than I'm willing to give it credit for. But ultimately, I think both teams, it'll be very close if they face each other, but I just think Michael Jordan, there'd be no way, no how he would allow the Dream Team to lose the competition versus LeBron James and the 2024 Olympic squad. That's ultimately how I feel. I think Jordan will be the ultimate equalizer and difference maker in terms of clutch shot making, in terms of defense, in terms of leadership. And that's why I give the 1992 Dream Team their flowers and categorize them as probably arguably the greatest basketball team ever assembled. That's how I feel. And they're the best Olympic basketball team ever, in my opinion, no doubt about it. Could that change in a couple of years, down the line, 20 years from now? Maybe. But for now, gotta give them their flowers, no doubt about it.